What's up, everyone? Want to check in and let you guys know the update on my ultimate build, Star Wars Pit Droid. All right, first and foremost, when I left you in part 2 of this build series, part 2 was the priming and getting it ready for paint, right? And then I did not know what I was going to paint it. I didn't have the colors because we over at the Sarlacc Digest had a competition or a poll where we would let our audience and our Patreon members pick the color scheme. And out of 16 color schemes that we had narrowed it down, the Imperial Sympathizer scheme, and I'll show it right here, it won. So what does that mean? So now I've got a direction, right? I know exactly, well, not exactly, but I now have a good direction of how this is going to be painted. And that's going to start the underbase process. You know, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to primer this whole thing and then chrome it all. And the chrome is going to have a clear coat. And then the clear coat is going to protect that chrome, right? And then I'm going to paint it the dark silvers and the blacks to and reds and whites to the parts that I need. And then as I sand off and weather, the paint will chip away, revealing that chrome underbase, revealing that weather for like a metal droid. Okay, that's the idea. That is the goal going forward to this. And that's been the problem because that's a lot of coats for one particular part, right? And the Southern California weather in the past month and a half has been very uncooperative. It's been windy and cold again. We have our second winter coming through. It puts a lot of damper on things to go outside and do it. Again, I don't have a garage again, so I'm doing this, in my living room and outside. So I have to hit those weather spots as they come in, and can't depend on weather apps and everything else because it's just like go outside. If it's windy, cool. I can't do it. If it is, let's go. But anyway, I digress on that. But the whole reason is spray painting these pieces, you have to wait almost 24 hours before you can actually handle them because spray paints need to cure. And especially being 50 degrees, 40 degrees at night, 50, 60 degrees, it takes a lot longer for it to cure. And I do want to wet sand in between layers to get any kind of dust and debris so nothing builds up. I'm a perfectionist in that way where I don't want it to look rough. This is a pit droid. Yes, he's going to live in the sands of Tatooine and on our podcast, and he is this weathered Star Wars lived in droid. But at the same time, because of the paint scheme and the Imperial backstory that we're going to give him, he's got to have some sort of sleekness to it, some sort of glossiness and really streamlined parts to it. Doesn't mean that he's not going to be heavily weathered. It just means that there's going to be aspects of it, so you're going to look like this was an ex-Imperial pit droid, but then also left to the conditions on Tatooine. So that's where the heavy weather is. So in my mind, I have this backstory on how I'm doing this droid, right? So how I'm weathering him and painting him, it helps. It really does help because when I get into it and when I show you, a lot of times that you're weathering and there's a story to it. There's why is this scratch like this, or why is it heavy weathered on this side? That's part of the fun to it too, versus just hitting it with spray paint, making it look good, painting on chips and letting it sit. The fun part is telling a story through this prop building. I think that's we're plucking it out of a movie and putting it into our world, so it does help, and it's a cool thing to do. For example, pit droids. How you activate them and deactivate them is you hit the nose, right? And you should have heavy wear on where your people are hitting the nose, So I'm going to make sure that's in this backstory of this pit droid. So anyway, that's the update as far as where I'm at. I'm going to show you here some clips. I'll talk over them and just kind of like give you a point where I'm at it. You know what I mean? It's like, again, I'm very close, but I didn't want it to go too long. I want to show you guys some stuff. And I'll try to talk about the techniques that I've documented and remember and see if it helps in any way versus, just here it is. And then, hey guys, this is a cool pit droid and move on my day. Now, I really want to document this because my future builds, I will be referencing this too. And everything that I do is going to translate to those future builds. So if it was too hard this way, I know what to do next time or what not to do. So it's equally as important. So anyway, let's get on to where we're at in this Pit Droid. All right, so the paints I'm using, I just went to the Home Depot and picked out the bare spray paints, and it wasn't like a cautious decision. It was something that look, this company has a lot of colors available, and they're like $6 a can, and I chose high gloss for all of these things. I chose a chrome, a black, a white, a red, and I did do like a dark silver for later on, and then I went back and I did get a clear coat, a heavy gloss clear coat. But again, no particular reason why I chose this brand. It's just that there was many colors available, and that's what I just what I bought. That's what Home Depot had. And then I needed wet sanding sandpaper, so I bought a pack, and it went from 1,000 grit to 2,000 grit. Sandpaper. Just make sure that it's wet sandable, waterproof, right? And the purpose of wet sanding again is to refine the surface, get rid of any kind of debris, any kind of dust or paint. Maybe if you spray painted a little bit of a splatter gun on there, this will get it down smooth without really roughing up the surface enough, right, to ruin your paint job. And if you do ruin your paint job, which I've touched spots and I've got fingerprints on it, so I went in there and wet sanded from 1,000 grit up, and then it gradually took away that paint rather than roughing it up completely, exposing. You'll see like the little divots and everything from taking off certain paint. So wet sanding is key in this area, to cover up any mistakes, and also to get a almost perfect surface finish. I haven't yet tried polishing after wet sanding, which I might do to bring some of that sheen back, because sometimes wet sandings will fog up the paint job, especially high gloss. If you're hitting it with, like I said, a high black, and you hit it with the wet sanding, you can see that it fogs it up. Now, I'm kind of using that to the weathering effect also. So I'm kind of using that purpose of wet sanding these high gloss paints for the purpose of imperfections. So I'm leaving gloss areas and recessed stuff where a lot of grit doesn't get into, which we'll do that in a wash later. But also if the Pit Droid is elbows are hitting a certain part of daily life, you would want to hit that a little bit harder and get rid of some of that gloss, if that makes sense, right? But anyway, again, telling a story through the paint job is essential. But if it does fog up too much, I'm sure that you can go get some turtle wax polish, car polish, and buff out, especially if you clear coat, stuff, you buff out those high gloss areas, and you could bring back that sheen. But and again, you'll see the results from wet sanding. You'll see it almost a glass finish, which is great. It's a cool process to do too. It's also like meditation in a way. You put on your favorite Star Wars movie, and you just sit there and you just wet sand away, and it's very therapeutic at times, but a lot of work. So again, my process was after it was all primed and everything was filled and I couldn't see any print lines. This is just to recap a little bit. Hit it with chrome, and I used this bare chrome paint, and it looked fantastic. I even tried wet sanding the chrome, and it really dulled it up to almost like this really washed metal look. Like if you go to Disneyland, you see the metal things where it's got blacks and browns and whites in it. It almost made it look like that. So in the future, I'm thinking, this might work. Hit it with chrome and then wet sand the chrome paint, and it really gives a dull looking multicolor sheen to it, and it was really interesting. So you kind of learn things of that might work for future projects. So anyway, after I hit everything with the chrome, every piece, every part with the chrome. I went back and I'm hitting it with the heavy gloss clear coat, and for any scratches that I had in the chrome process, you're gonna see it. The clear coat, you're gonna see it, but wet sanding that will give a nice sheen surface. And then I started to separate the parts out to what I'm printing them. So if these are black, these are going to remain chrome or silver, or these are red. So I'm hitting them with the exact colors. And again, it's a rinse and repeat process. Chrome, clear coat, base color, clear coat again, sand everything down in between everything, and then once those are all finished, then we could put this guy together and go from there. But this is the rinse and repeat process of painting this particular one. Now, I'm learning a lot with this. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to carry this kind of techniques over to my future builds because there's a lot of work in between. So I'm looking for minimizing certain, if I don't have to chrome it all out, maybe I could just hit it with the base pieces that are going to remain silver, and then hit them with the colors that I want. But because I do want that under a metal look to it, and I thought the chrome would work. It's not working so much on the silver parts, the gray parts that are remaining silver. When I hit it with the dark silver metallic, it's not working so much on that. But it is working on the black. Like, it is really, if I chip away on that black and it reveals that chrome, it looks so good. And it's very minimal effort, So that is working on the color paints. But going, from like silver or a metallic, trying to scratch up that to reveal chrome, it's just not, it's blending too much. So I think I'm going to depend on the washes, where I can hit it with, a brown wash for grit and then dab it off and then get it recessed so I can weather the gray parts more with a wash rather than scratches and scrapes and everything like that, like heavy weathering. Well, we'll see. Again, everything is a learning process, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can for the next build. You never want to experiment and learn on the job when you're doing a job, but this is Star Wars. This is prop building. It's going to look good. It's going to look fantastic. So anyway, the next time you see me, you're going to see the Pit Droid right here in its full glory, his full weathering, his full paint job. Everything's going to be done. He's going to be assembled and ready to go. Again, May 4th is my goal because we have a live event and we're going to put him in there holding out our business cards and for the podcast, and it's going to be awesome. So the live reveal is going to be on May 4th, but then the final video of the reveal of this build series is going to be final with that one. Hoping that I do get to the electronics on it. It's basically just the eye for now until I can add a speaker and his sounds and everything like that. Especially, I want it to be when you tap his nose, it activates. That might have to wait for a little bit, but for right now, it's all about this droid build and everything. So, yeah. So next time you see me on this one, the part 3B, because I don't want these builds to be so long and parts like that. I kind of want to present them to you guys and be like, here's this build, and within a half hour time, you could see all the stuff. But I tend to over instruct or over explain what I'm doing, and if that's something that you guys like to do, then I'll continue to do it. But if you want them shorter, also let me know. Also, that's what's great about YouTube, right? You can document all of these things and just lives and breathes in this living world here that we can reference at any time. So everything that I'm doing, again, it's for myself, also for future projects, and hopefully you guys have input too to tell me how I can do things better or what would work better, or actually maybe not better, but just like, here's a different approach to it. Use these enamels maybe, or resins versus spray paints, airbrushing. I don't know. This is something that that's going to be a continuous thing for me. And then you guys know I like to sit and rant and talk anyway. So, it's twofold for myself. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later on the final build for this one. And you got to like and you got to subscribe. You got to bookmark this page or hit that bell notification, because the Pit Droid is not the only thing I'm doing. It's not even like the tip of the iceberg. I have some other ultimate builds that I'm going to update for you guys and let you know where those stands. And then, of course, we're going to be heading into some uncharted territory with massive projects, all in the 3D printing world. Um, does it remain in Star Wars? Probably not. But there are some, Star Wars builds, but there are also some outside of that realm, think gaming world, life size. But anyway, I'll just let that, kind of marinate right there. Until next time, thank you so much. Yeah, go build something.